Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with day 29 of Off the Board with Pineapple Papers, a hop started by Crystal Barrett with Pineapple Papers to get us to dive into those pins we've been pinning on Pinterest and use them for some inspiration. And this one was posted by Paige Evans. And I decided that I would pull out some Paige Evans to create not my version, because I'm not scrap lifting. I'm just taking inspiration from, I guess it's kind of scrap lifting. So I have my Paige Evans Bungalow Lane, and I have some papers. I have some ephemera. I have the little, I don't even know what these are called. Oh, they're the puffy stickers. And tons of ephemera, some papers, and then I have some scraps and everything. And lots of papers that I have procured over the last couple weeks. And then I have my Scrapping Reflections star stencil, and I'm going to remember what it's called in just an all-star stencil. And I've not used this since I got it, and I decided this was the perfect time to do that. So, and then I have this picture of my grandmother and my aunt together. And so I have my papers. I have my stickers and embellishments. I have this fabulous picture and I have this pin. So let's see how this goes. So the first thing I did was tape down my stencil onto this 12 by 12 paper. And I use this blue one with some geometrics on it. And I'm going to start with this Spun Sugar Distress Oxide by Ranger, Tim Holtz. And I want to have enough of that to where it kind of encapsulates where the picture and the embellishment is going to go. Because pink was my grandmother's favorite color, so I try and make sure there is always pink on her layout. So I get that on there, and then I'm going to set this picture down. I do end up trimming that down, but for now, I just ink as much as I can. And then after I feel good about how much of that is on there, I get my Candied Apple, which is also a Distress Oxide by Tim Holtz. And I just start blending that around. And I'm pretty much just not making a circle. It's more like an oval, but I am just blending that in on the edges with that spun sugar. And then I get out my mustard seed, and I'm going to start on the farthest out, trying not to touch where the red is, or that candied apple is, because I want to make sure that it's a clean yellow. And then I want to come in a little closer to where it's going to be touching that candied apple so it can blend a little bit. And I don't mind, even though there's really no orange. Well, I guess there's a hint of orange in this, not on my layout, but in this collection. So look how that turned out. I love these stencils. 12 by 12 stencils are the best, because then I don't have to worry about, all the lines and moving things around and trying to do all that stuff. So I take this piece of scrap paper, because the goal is to use scrap paper on every single layout in 2022. So I take this piece of scrap paper and I cut it down to about 4 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then I cut my picture down to properly fit in the middle. I knew I was going to be able to cut some of that bottom part off where it's just their legs. And so I cut that down to just under, right at about 5 1/2, I think. And so I'm going to mat that on that paper. But first, I decide she's got all these splatters and bits on her layout. And I love this layout that I am not really scrap lifting, kind of, I guess. It looks like she has a background paper, and then she has half cut stars and then folded them over and stitched them. And then there's like inking behind it. It is so cool looking. And one day I might be adventurous enough to try that. But today we're just going to kind of go with the star background and the splatters. So I start with some tumbled glass, And then I wanted something a little bit darker for some contrast, because that tumbled glass is very similar to the background paper. And so I used the Blueprint Sketch and just tap that out in the, mostly in the curve on the left and then the bottom right corner. So I mount my picture on that blue and white stripe scrap paper. And then I'm going to try and see about this floral. And the back side of this floral is teacups with a navy blue background, or a darker blue background. And I decided to cut this right in half because there's a couple of layers underneath her picture that aren't like full layers. It's just kind of like tucked in here and there. And so I just cut it in half. I put that pinky color with the florals and peach on it over to the right side. And then I kind of stagger the blue teacup paper over to the left side. And that kind of gives it a feel like there's multiple layers back there. And for the most part they are, but it's not full and it's not coming all the way down, giving too much bulk to the layout. So I'm going to get that tacked down, and I'm going to put that right down in the middle of that light pink inking to where you can see the pink on the top, like just the light pink, and a little bit of the light pink will peek out pretty much everywhere else. So I put these little gold little leafy bits that came off of the Paige Evans sticker sheet. And then there's a couple smaller ones that are pretty much the same thing on the puffy thickers, and I put those down below. And she's got a ton of like florals and leafy bits, and I just really didn't want all that. I wanted enough to like say, look at me, and encompass the picture so it would draw you in to the picture. But I felt like this gold was going to do the trick for that. So I get that down, and I do love the way that looks. So then I'm going to pull the stickers out and try and see what I can work with. She's got some clouds on hers. I decided I'm going to use this recliner, or this, armchair, because that's where my grandmother is sitting, is in an armchair, and I thought this would be a good place for it. However, the one in the sticker has a cat. There are no cats in my house, and my family's not really cat people. No offense to the cat people. Believe me, no offense. So it just didn't... Yes, I could have left it. It wouldn't have been a big deal, but I just, I didn't really want to. So I cut the recliner, or the armchair, not fully in half. A smaller portion on the left side and a bigger portion on the right. And I tuck part of it in on the left, and then the bigger part coming out further on the right. And where that cat is, I take this puffy from the thickers that says amazing and just cover that. And then the little yarn ball at the bottom is tucked up underneath the little leafy bits. So I love the way that looks. I mean, if you look close enough, you can see a little bit of the cat in both places, but I'm not worried about that at all. I mean, when you're looking at it, unless you just like get a little magnifying glass out, it's not really noticeable. So I pull a word phrase off, says better together, and it's in the blue, which is that background paper. So I thought I'd bring that forward. And then I'm trying to find a couple more word phrases. In her layout, she's got 2 or 3 down at the bottom, and I wanted to bring that in. I also want to put the stars on here. So I use a few of the little itty bitties and just do some clusters here and there. And then I put this little green one down here, which I'm going to end up moving because I find a word phrase and then something else that I like. So I put a yellow word phrase down there, so it would bring the yellow from the mustard seed ink in, and it says family time. And I did make sure that the little teacup that's peeking out on that teacup paper is also yellow. So it brings the yellow pretty much everywhere. I mean, it's completely encompassing the whole left side and the top. I just didn't have any yellow in the bottom for the most part and over on the right. So I'm bringing that in with the little word phrase, and I'm going to also add one of those little puffy stickers in yellow to bring it back over there to the right side as well. So I pulled that little white house, and it was super cute, but then I found this one that says, "This is our happy place," and I felt like that was even more fitting. We were at my mom's house, and that is always been a happy place for our family, where my parents and where I pretty much have been raised since I was 10. And so, it's super fitting. And so I put that down, make sure and kind of nestle it in to where it's not covering too much of the two little word phrases, and it kind of tucks underneath one of the little leafy bits. And then I put some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive down and put a little yellow stripy star, and then I'm going to put a little blue star. And then I'm also going to add a darker blue star up at the top left corner of the picture. I was just trying to look for where needed a little something. So I've got those two little gold ones up there and then a stripy gold one. And I thought it would look good up there. And that's it. This entire thing took me less than like 32 minutes. And part of that was all the inking and selecting colors and stuff like that. So I really, really am excited for how this turned out. And I am really excited because we only have 2 more days of July. I don't know how that happened. So 2 more days of Off the Board with Pineapple Papers. And then it'll be August. I just don't understand where the month disappeared to. So I hope you all will come back and see me for the last couple of days of Off the Board with Pineapple Papers. I also hope you all will come and see me tomorrow. Saturday is the 5th series or episode of Courageously Crafting, Scrapbooking Through the Hard Stuff. And and then of course I'll have another one of the Off the Board with Pineapple Papers. So I hope you all have a great day, and I hope that you get a chance to do something you love with someone you love. Happy scrapping!